Welcome to Streaming News Network by Claude McDaniel. News without the hype and biased reporting. Please like and subscribe.
This is Claude McDaniel with Streaming News Network. Boxing icon Floyd Mayweather is facing a costly legal setback outside the ring. A Nevada judge has ordered the undefeated former champion to pay approximately $1 million in retroactive child support after he failed to comply with a court-ordered DNA test in a paternity case involving a 4-year-old girl. Court records show Mayweather was declared the child's father in March after a default judgment was entered. The ruling came after he was reportedly served legal papers twice but did not complete the required DNA testing. In addition to the back child support, the court ordered Mayweather to pay $33,000 per month in ongoing support. The case began in 2023 when Paige Moorhead filed a petition seeking to establish paternity for her daughter, Price, who was born in December of 2021. Moorhead alleged she had been involved in a long-term relationship with Mayweather that lasted several years. According to court filings, only part of the support obligation has been paid so far. The judge also authorized Moorhead to place a lien of up to $2 million on California properties connected to the former boxing star. The child support ruling adds to a series of recent legal and financial disputes involving Mayweather, including tax issues and several business-related lawsuits. Despite the ongoing legal challenges, the retired boxer remains active through exhibition events and business ventures. This is Streaming News Network. A devastating house fire in western Michigan has left a former television news anchor without a home, although everyone inside escaped safely. Former WOOD TV8 anchor Michelle DeSelms watched as flames consumed her residence in Plainfield Township Wednesday evening. Emergency crews were dispatched shortly after 8:30 p.m. following reports of a structure fire near Grand Rapids. Fire officials say the home was already heavily engulfed in flames when firefighters arrived on scene. DeSelms later confirmed that all occupants made it out safely, including the family's dog, and no injuries were reported. According to DeSelms, renovation work was underway at the property when the fire broke out. The cause of the blaze remains under investigation. Dramatic scenes unfolded as thick black smoke billowed high into the sky, creating a plume visible for miles across the Grand Rapids area. Cameras positioned nearly 10 miles away captured the towering column of smoke rising above the horizon. Firefighters from multiple neighboring communities joined Plainfield Township crews in battling the intense fire and preventing it from spreading. The incident drew widespread attention throughout the region due to the massive amount of smoke and because the homeowner is a familiar face to many television viewers across western Michigan. This is Streaming News Network. An Oklahoma City property owner is facing criminal charges after authorities say he fatally shot a man he found inside one of his vacant rental homes. Police say 59-year-old Timothy Smith discovered Justin King inside the residence on May 1. According to investigators, Smith and his daughter arrived at the property armed with a handgun and confronted King, who was allegedly occupying the home without permission. Authorities say an argument followed, during which Smith ordered King to leave. Investigators allege Smith pointed the firearm at King and fired a shot that struck him in the neck. Smith later told police that King had moved toward him during the confrontation, but he did not report seeing a weapon. King was hospitalized for more than a week before being removed from life support on May 8. Following King's death, prosecutors upgraded the original charge of assault and battery with a deadly weapon to first-degree manslaughter. Smith also faces a charge of reckless conduct with a firearm. Court records show he is being held on a $25,000 bond. The case has sparked debate over self-defense laws and property rights. Legal experts note that while homeowners may have broad protections when confronting intruders inside their primary residence, those protections can be far more limited when dealing with vacant properties. Smith's attorneys are expected to argue self-defense as the case moves forward. This is Streaming News Network. The Indiana Fever saw their 3-game winning streak come to an end Thursday night, falling to the Golden State Valkyries by a score of 90-88 in a closely contested matchup. Fever star Caitlin Clark struggled offensively, finishing with a season-low 16 points while shooting just 3 of 12 from the field. She also contributed 6 assists, 4 rebounds, and 3 steals in the loss. Following the game, Clark declined to participate in the team's post-game media availability. Under Women's National Basketball Association media rules, head coaches and designated players are generally required to be available to reporters shortly after games. Failure to meet media obligations can result in league discipline, including financial penalties. Previous violations by players have resulted in fines, and league rules now reportedly allow for significantly larger penalties under the current collective bargaining agreement. At this time, the league has not announced whether any action will be taken against Clark. However, the situation comes just days after the Indiana Fever organization received scrutiny regarding its handling of Clark's injury status, placing additional attention on the franchise and one of the league's biggest stars. The Fever now look to regroup as they continue their season following the narrow defeat. This is Streaming News Network. A popular social media personality has been permanently banned from all Six Flags amusement parks after posting a video that showed him violating ride safety rules at one of the nation's most famous roller coasters. Alan Farrell, a YouTuber and TikTok creator with millions of followers, filmed himself sneaking a box of chicken nuggets onto the Millennium Force roller coaster at Cedar Point in Ohio. The video showed Farrell removing the food during the ride and eating it while traveling at speeds approaching 93 miles per hour. Park officials say the stunt violated strict safety policies that prohibit loose items, including food, on attractions. They emphasized that unsecured objects can become dangerous projectiles and pose risks to both riders and bystanders. In a statement, Cedar Point said safety is a top priority and that guests who disregard the park's code of conduct are not welcome. As a result, Farrell has been banned for life from all Six Flags properties. The incident has renewed attention on ride safety as amusement parks continue to crack down on guests who ignore regulations. Officials note that loose items on high-speed attractions have caused injuries in the past, including incidents involving cell phones and other objects that became airborne during rides. Millennium Force, one of Cedar Point's signature attractions, stands more than 300 feet tall and is among the fastest roller coasters in North America. This is Streaming News Network. New York Governor Kathy Hochul has signed a state budget that includes two controversial new gun control measures, setting the stage for what is expected to be another major legal battle over Second Amendment rights. The provisions were included within New York's fiscal year 2027 budget package and target both certain semi-automatic handguns and the use of three-dimensional printers in the production of firearms and firearm components. Supporters say the legislation is designed to address public safety concerns, including the illegal modification of handguns using so-called Glock switches, devices that can unlawfully convert semi-automatic firearms into fully automatic weapons. Federal law already prohibits the possession or manufacture of such conversion devices without proper authorization. Gun rights organizations quickly condemned the measures, arguing that the laws infringe upon constitutional protections and are likely to face court challenges. Industry groups contend that the legislation targets firearms commonly owned by law-abiding citizens and used by law enforcement agencies. The debate comes just a few years after the United States Supreme Court struck down portions of New York's concealed carry permitting system in the landmark Bruen decision, a ruling that reshaped firearms regulations nationwide. Legal experts expect challenges to the new laws to be filed in federal court, where judges will likely examine whether the restrictions comply with current Supreme Court interpretations of the Second Amendment. This is Streaming News Network. President Donald Trump is continuing to defend his tariff policies, pointing to a sharp decline in the United States trade deficit as evidence that the strategy is working, even as the tariffs face ongoing legal challenges. In a recent social media post, Trump highlighted new trade data showing the nation's goods and services deficit fell by nearly 55% during the first 2 months of 2026 compared to the same period a year earlier. According to federal economic data, exports increased significantly while imports declined, contributing to the narrowing of the trade gap. Supporters of tariffs argue that such policies encourage domestic production and reduce reliance on foreign goods by making imports more expensive. However, economists caution that the numbers may not tell the full story. Trade activity during early 2025 was unusually high, as many businesses reportedly accelerated imports ahead of anticipated tariff announcements. That surge created a higher comparison point, potentially making the year-over-year decline appear more dramatic. Monthly figures also paint a more mixed picture. In February, the trade deficit widened slightly from January as both exports and imports increased, with imports rising at a marginally faster pace. The debate over tariffs remains a central issue in economic policy discussions, with supporters citing improvements in trade balances and critics warning of potential impacts on consumers, businesses, and global trade relationships. This is Streaming News Network. The hockey world is mourning the loss of former National Hockey League star Claude Lemieux, who has died at the age of 60. Lemieux, a four-time Stanley Cup champion and one of the most accomplished postseason players in league history, was found deceased on May 28. Authorities are investigating the circumstances surrounding his death. Just days earlier, Lemieux had appeared before fans in Montreal during Game 3 of the National Hockey League's Eastern Conference Finals, serving as a ceremonial torchbearer. The appearance was especially meaningful, as he began his professional career with the Montreal Canadiens and helped the franchise capture a Stanley Cup championship in 1986. National Hockey League Commissioner Gary Bettman released a statement honoring Lemieux's legacy, describing him as one of the greatest big-game performers in hockey history. Over a career that spanned more than 2 decades, Lemieux played for several National Hockey League teams and earned a reputation as a fierce competitor with a knack for delivering in crucial moments. He is survived by his wife, Deborah, their daughter, Claudia, and sons Brendan, Christopher, and Michael. His son Brendan paid tribute on social media, expressing love for his father and remembering the close bond he shared with his family. This is Streaming News Network. Husband's home, threatened his life, and fired a handgun while he was sleeping inside. According to court documents, 31-year-old Amanda Heller allegedly entered the residence during the early morning hours of April 26. Investigators say she confronted her former husband, threatened to kill him, and fired 2 rounds from a handgun inside the home. No injuries were reported, and authorities say no one else was inside the residence at the time of the incident. Heller was taken into custody on May 21. She was initially charged with felonious assault, but a grand jury later returned a more serious indictment that includes attempted aggravated murder, aggravated burglary, domestic violence, and improperly discharging a firearm into a habitation. Court records show Heller is being held on a $100,000 bond. As a condition of any potential release, she has been ordered to have no contact with her ex-husband. The case is now moving through the Ohio court system, with Heller scheduled to make her next court appearance on June 22. Authorities have not released additional details regarding a possible motive, and the allegations remain accusations until proven in court.
Thank you for listening to Streaming News Network videos and shorts. Please like and subscribe to our news channel.